Hey, welcome back to the Club Junkie Podcast, and welcome to 2025, the first show of the new year. Kind of crazy to think we're already in 2025. I feel like 2024 just started, and boom, my daughter turns 5. The summer's over, golf season's shot. I'm looking for, we're in launch season right now. Looking forward to the PGA show. It's just crazy. So, before we get into today's episode, I just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Titleist. And listen, Titleist knows that creating the best performing irons for every player means creating a lineup that covers the widest range of golfers possible. T-Series irons do exactly with that, with a range of 4 models designed to blend together into nearly endless combinations. There are no stock players, which is why there are no stock sets. You need to have the right combination of irons to cover every gap and feel comfortable at any distance, which is why I kind of did a combo set. T200 long irons, 4 and 5, matched with T150 short irons, 6 through pitching wedge. Gives me a little bit of forgiveness and firepower while still giving me that kind of player's look, feel, and precision you get in the lower irons. Will Zalatoris carries a T353 iron. Countless pros carry T200 as a more forgiving long iron. Model selection is not just about skill, it's about having the right tool for the job. Now, blended sets I think are pretty cool, but you can also just go straight sets. It's up to you and your fitter and what works best for you. So with Titleist T-Series, you can get performance in every form with irons that look and feel amazing, no matter which model or models you play. Discover the T-Series irons that are right for you by going to Titleist.com, finding your nearest certified fitter, and booking your fitting today. So, we are back. It is 2025. It is crazy. I can't believe it is 2025. So thank you all for an amazing 2024. You guys are awesome. I know we... not only at the podcast, we kind of hang out a little bit in the Golf WRX forums, on social, or at least on Instagram. We all kind of hang out there and different things, and I appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your busy lives to follow along and hang out and talk some golf equipment with me. So I hope you understand. I do truly appreciate every one of you for following along and all that. It really means a lot to me, and honestly, if none of you followed, I wouldn't be doing this, because it would fall on deaf ears. So there would be nothing to do. So I'm excited. This is going to be a fun year. Launch season has started. I think 2025 launch season or 2025 equipment season is going to be really special. It's one of those years where everybody will have a driver out, or should have a driver out. The Callaway, the Titleist, the Cobras of the world, they have a new driver pretty much every year. But in the 2-year cycle, we get Titleist. I know Titleist kind of hit in the summer. We get GT Woods from the summer into 2025. And we will also get Ping Woods. So kind of cool to get everything out there. And same thing, Tour Edge brought out their stuff just a little bit earlier, basically the end of the year. So tons and tons of new equipment out for this season. So we've already seen we've seen the stuff from Cobra. We've seen Callaway. We've seen TaylorMade just this week. A lot of really great drivers out there. I know Callaway's catching a ton of flack for the looks. From address, I think they look really good. It's funny. I actually, when you look at the Callaway drivers, the Elite Triple Diamond has like an all black gloss crown, kind of this like tour influence look that they liked. And then you look at these standard models, and they're more of the matte finish with a little bit more of like a raw composite type crown. You can actually see the carbon kind of weave and everything. I actually kind of like that one a little bit better. I almost wish the Triple Diamond had the same, graphics or the same cosmetic as the standard ones, but I know Callaway's kind of taking a beating for the looks. I don't mind it. I mean, to me, looks too, the bottom of a driver doesn't matter. Like when you look at it on a shelf, that's where it is. When you set it down to hit a ball, you don't see it. So what does it matter? I've been fortunate enough I got to hit those things at ECPC. I think they perform really well. I think they've done, the improvements are smaller and all that, but I think there's still definitely better spin consistency throughout the line. I think the Triple Diamond's a little more playable. I think the standard version is definitely super wide range of golfer. I think we'll see those out on tour. We'll see those, in amateur bags all over. So wide range there. Cobra, again, same thing. I mean, coming out now with 4 models instead of 3. Huge. I think the LS way more playable, especially in the higher lofts. Super excited about that. When I did a fitting there, I got fit into an LS, which I was shocked because I didn't, I'm not really an LS guy. So that was pretty cool. And then, we've got the TaylorMade out there. And it's funny, I did a fitting with TaylorMade. TaylorMade's kind of got a little bit of a new fitting system that they're going with. And, that they've started to do, they profiled some shafts going with kind of tip stiffness and basically, you know, the rotation of the face or closing of the face, that rotation, kind of fitting a lot based on that. And really interesting, we did a fitting there. Again, got fit into an LS, which was pretty interesting because I hit the regular QI35 really well. It was just, all my contact was kind of low heel, so it had a lot of spin to it. And we moved into the LS, and low heel shots were better, and I made way better contact. So I got fit into that, and Event is Black 6S. So I may have to build up that combo. I don't have a 6S. I have a 6X back there. I don't have an S, so I'm going to have to see about getting a stiff version and putting that in there. But to that credit, though, also, too, like I used to be such a low-spin driver guy because I drew the ball so badly that I just never put a spin on it. And kind of been trying to fix a little bit of the swing, take the takeaway, get a little more neutral at the top, not quite as shut. It's still shut, but not as shut. And I now play a little bit straighter ball and even can hit a little bit of a fade. I wouldn't say a command, but I can hit a little bit of a fade. So a little different shots now as compared to when I was out there probably, you know, beginning of the year, end of 2023. So, but I think the QI35 stuff is really good. Like I said, I think the LS is more playable. It's not as demanding and crazy low spin. You can make it pretty low, you know, crazy low spin by moving some of the weights, but I think overall so far, everything that's out, really, really good. There's still some really good stuff coming. I know Mizuno irons everybody was high on. Got to see the new S3s finally. Those are out. Definitely players-focused iron. I think the better players, the single-digit handicaps and into the pros are really going to like that iron a lot. I think it's going to play really well. I haven't hit it yet. I'm assuming it's going to feel extremely soft like all Mizunos do, but I just haven't have it out yet. It'll be going out soon. That's the thing too, is like this launch season, it's like this week, there was a launch basically every single day. Mizuno set theirs up to basically be every single day. And we've got more launches coming. So as soon as that kind of dies down just a little bit, I'll be able to get up to the range, hit some more balls, and definitely report back on more detailed views of a lot of this stuff. Because a lot of it there, you know, you're hitting shots in like a fitting environment, or you're basically just hitting a few shots like TaylorMade fairway woods. Like I maybe hit 10 shots with each club. Same thing with like the elite fairway woods and stuff like that. Like you just don't get enough time, you know, out of these media things to hit everything as much as you like. So, but it's a good season. I think it's going to be a good year if you know, are looking for woods drivers. Of course, I think fairways are making big leaps. Drivers, you know, I think it's starting to slow down a little bit in terms of like the big refinements, but I think people are finding the little things that still can change to make improvements. And I love seeing the comments out there that are like, it's the same as, you know, a 4-year-old driver and all that. And, you know, it's not. It's a funny thing. And the other funny thing is that they you know, I think these people think that these OEMs expect you to buy a new driver every year, and that's not the case. Like if you talk to anybody at these OEMs and you say, you know, hey, this new driver, what about the people who, you know, bought last year's driver? And all of them say, like, what about them? Like they're done. Like they bought their driver. We're going after the person who's got a 5-year-old driver or whatever. Like we're going after someone who's got an old driver. Like that's what we're making this for. Now, if you buy a new driver every year, I mean that's fine. That's great. Like whatever you want to do, but they don't expect you to hit last year's driver compared to, you know, last year's driver to this year's driver and see massive differences. They're really building these things and getting better, but they're expecting people with older stuff to try the new stuff and see these bigger gains. So it's interesting. And it's always frustrating to me because I get to talk to the OEMs. Like I get to talk to those engineers and those people there and to see the passion they have. And if you think they're just making, you know, throwing some new paint on a club and it's a money grab and let's go, like you're sorely mistaken. I feel like I say this every year around this launch season, but it is, you know, the engineers, the people out there who are building these things and designing these things and the R&D and all that, like they're legit putting in some real blood, sweat, tears into this stuff. Like they're not messing around. Like they are out there to make the best possible club they can make for that season. So don't think that these people are just trying to rip money out of your wallet. They're definitely not. So a lot of great stuff already out. Excited for the rest to come because there is a lot. And as I sit here down here in my basement, I'm looking around and there's a box there and a bunch of clubs over there and all that are not out yet. And they will be shortly in the next couple weeks. So be patient. There's definitely more to come. It is not just a one and done type deal here this week. We're going to be seeing stuff throughout the rest of the month. So that is 2025 launch. A little bit into it. I definitely will be getting into more of the clubs here as we go on here in the weeks and as I get out to try them. But today, we're going to talk about something fun, kind of a new putter. I know you guys have been waiting for me to talk about this one. It is the LAB OZ.1. It's finally here. All right, so the new OZ.1 from LAB. So this is the mallet, the kind of the rounded off mallet that everybody's been waiting for. We kind of saw it on tour as a prototype. It is the one that was helped, or Adam Scott helped design. It is kind of more of a traditional mallet shape than anything else they've really made. I guess the Link would be the one that would be the most traditional out of anything. And then the OZ.1, which of course would be the next closest. And then it'd be a toss-up between DF3 and Mez 1 of which one you like to look at better, because those are a little bit non-traditional. But line angle balancing, same thing as before. Excuse me. But yeah, line angle balance as before. So just like the other ones, when you hold it and there is zero influence on it, the face is going to stay pointed at the target the whole time. So I remember when I saw this one, I was pretty impressed. When we saw the photos, we got some spotted photos out on tour when this thing hit. And I liked how it looked, and seeing it in person does not disappoint. I think it looks even a little better in person. To me, this one here probably has the best fit and finish out of all of them. I mean, I'm not knocking the Mez 1 or the DF3 or anything like that. I think they all have a very good, fit and finish to them, but I feel like this one, the OZ.1, is probably the best. I feel like the little milling in the pocket looks really good, or I call it a pocket in this kind of depression. I think the overall just, lines and edges and all that are very crisp, very sharp. I don't see anything in the way of like pitting or anything. And the big thing on this is that there's going to be two versions. There's the OZ.1, and then the OZ.1i. And basically the difference between the two is the I, which is the one I have here, has this stainless steel insert in it on the face, and the other one is not. It is just straight aluminum. So depending on what somebody wants, you get two different feels. You can pick which one you like. Because some people, that's the thing with putting. Putting is so much of, it's so much, what do you like? It's kind of like a pair of shoes. Like I can put on a pair of shoes, say it's the most comfortable pair of shoes in the world. You could try that exact same pair of shoes and think they feel like trash. And putting, feel, sound, all that is very subjective, and it's going to depend on the player. So there are a lot of players out there who don't like aluminum putters. Aluminum's soft. It has, a little bit of vibration to it. It definitely doesn't feel as solid as like a stainless steel putter. So having the ability to have inserts on here, and who knows, I mean, in the future, you could see a copper insert, you could see a titanium insert, you could see whatever in terms of inserts on here, and that would be pretty cool to see some stuff that's wild, crazy, and different. But right now, stainless steel insert there. And the one that does not have stainless steel, or does not have the insert, it's interesting, it has two extra weights in the sole to probably build up the weight between the two. Because the stainless steel face is going to weigh more than the aluminum face it replaces, so they probably can do away with, a couple of the weights on the sole. But like the other one, don't touch the weights. They're put in there by hand for the folks at LAB. And from what I've been told by Sam Hahn, I don't know if it's this one, maybe a little less time, but some of those like DF3s and Mez 1 Maxes and all that have a lot of weights would take like 30 minutes by hand to adjust the weights to make sure these things sit right. So this one here is the exact same specs as my Mez 1 Max and my DF3 and the Mez 1 before that. So I believe it is like a 67 lie, 33 inches, and that is what I've got. Now also, the interesting thing with this Oz is that there's two kind of, there's two versions, an insert and a non-insert version. And then there's another version where you have like this one here in my hand has that typical 3-degree forward press built into it in the shaft. So the shaft leans forward 3 degrees. And that's why you also have kind of the press grip that takes a little bit of that, forward press out of it. There is a version of this you can get that has a vertical shaft that goes in with no press. And that way you could use whatever grip you like, your favorite grip. So I actually have two of these, exact same specs, everything. The only thing different is this one has the shaft lean, the other one does not. The other one has my typical grip, which is a Super Stroke Pistol 1.0. I don't have it with me at the moment because the gentleman at the office wanted to try it so badly, and I was like, no problem, you can go try it. So I brought it into him. So I don't have that one with me right now, but I've been putting with both of these extensively in my basement, unfortunately. I haven't been able to play with them a real round of golf, but I've been putting like crazy with them down here in my basement and just trying to get a feel for differences, all that. And basically these two putters, and there's like a Bentonardi that I've, like the only 3 putters I've been touching. But these two have been the ones I've been messing with the most because I've been very interested in them. I've really liked my Mez 1 Max. I know people are always kind of kind of shocked that I like that better than the DF3, but I just line it up better. I think the straight lines on it, I line up better. And this one here now gets thrown into the mix. So it's going to have its shot at glory out on the course as well. And we'll see how it does against the Mez 1. Down here, I really like it. I've been putting really well with it. I love the shape. It just looks good, all that. So it's definitely going to be a battle out on the real putting green when we get just a touch warmer here and are able to do that. But so OZ.1, like I said, looks, I think it's going to be traditional. I think a lot of people who did not like the Mez 1, the DF3, all that because of the angles and the holes and all the stuff, this is going to be much more suited to their eye. And then also people who didn't like the feel of aluminum now have the feel of stainless steel. So the milling on it is nice. It's a fairly shallow mill. It's nothing crazy. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can kind of try to make you see it here. But it definitely isn't the shallowest milling, but it's also not the deepest. I call it kind of like a medium depth milling. Just your typical, I don't know if they call it fly, whatever, but typical milling there. Nothing too fancy, just nothing crazy, but it is an insert there. And it's like an L shape. It goes onto the actual sole of the club as well. But looks really good. You don't really see it at impact. When you set it down, you see maybe just a hair of silver, but really nothing distracting, anything like that. I thought it would actually be more pronounced, and it's really not. So from a view standpoint, it's hard to tell that what you have. You just don't see a whole lot of it. So interesting enough, I love the look. I think it's really good. Built up with the Acra shaft there, the Acra graphite, which again all mine have. So kind of very apples to apples in that sense. And then again, like I said, I've got the press pistol 2 degree on here, which is a grip I've really liked. I've actually I got it on my DF3, really loved it. Put it on my Mez 1 Max, and then I got it on this one as well. So big fan of the press pistol. I think it just fits in your hand really well compared to the standard kind of oval one and all that. All right, so we'll start with sound and feel. Sound and feel on this, I think, huge improvement. As I said before, I've messed with the antidote putter from Bettinardi, and I thought it was really good. And I think I made a comment about how, it's got a steel face and, kind of has that solid feel that steel gives you. This does the same thing. So when you have this thing, the OZ.1 with the insert, if you like the feel of a steel putter, that's what you're going to get. It has a little bit firmer feel than the aluminum. So if you're used to DF3, Mez, whatever, this is going to be a little bit firmer. It's not quite as soft, but you get that steel kind of click and that steel solid feel to it when the putter leaves the face. They're definitely different. If you putt side by side, aluminum or steel, you're going to feel sound, hear the difference between the two putters. I love the insert feel. I think it makes a huge difference. I like it a lot better. I wish I could get a Mez with an insert. I mean, it's just like that way now. Same with DF3. Like I would take an insert version of all three of those putters. I like the slightly firmer feel. Even with this milling, it's not too crisp, but it's got just enough click to it that you made solid contact. The click does change as you miss hit. So if you do catch it a little off the heel or the toe or whatever, you're going to get that audible change that you don't necessarily recognize as much. I feel like with aluminum, it's muted just a little bit. You definitely get it here, so you get that feedback immediately. You get a little bit different vibration on those misses as well. When you strike it solid, it just has that really kind of steel soft, solid feel to it as the ball leaves the face. But overall, I think this sound and feel is a big improvement. I think that's why, Adam Scott kind of helped with the design on here. Is because of that feel. And I think he even, in their kind of media stuff, they even said, he kind of said, the sound and feel is big for players at his level. And I think even at our level, at amateur level, we, a lot of us have messed with a little high-end putters, and there's stuff that we like, stuff that we don't like. And I think something like this brings this putter into the light for a lot of people who would have originally said no to it just because of the sound and feel. But it makes a big difference. And I know it's just a small insert, whatever. It definitely translates into a different feel and sound compared to the Mez 1 and the Mez 1 Max and the DF3. So big fan of that. The roll on the ball is pretty good. No hopping, no skidding. Again, I'm using this kind of putt view mat or prime putt. I can't remember the name of it, but it's kind of loud. It's got some loud plastic on it, which is nice because when I test putters, you can kind of tell when stuff hops and when it skips and when it's got some skid to it. Puts a good roll on the ball, decent amount of top speed. I mean, it's pretty traditional, decent amount of top end roll. It just gets rolling pretty quickly. There's not a lot of skidding, not a lot of hopping. It's not quite like TaylorMade pure roll type topspin, but it gets the ball rolling really well, and you're not going to have a lot of that jumping around or hopping and skidding. But overall, the responsiveness, the feel on this, I think vastly improved. I really like it. I know some people won't. Some people like the softer feel of the old one, and that's why there's an OZ.1 that has no insert, and you can get it aluminum, which is great. But I think for a lot of people, they're going to go the insert route because I think it does have a really nice feel to it. So really like the sound and feel. I think that thing's improved. I like it out of, if I rate DF3, Mez 1 Max, and this, and I kind of put them in, what do I rate? Number one in terms of feel. I think this thing feels great, sounds great. I would take this over the other two, no questions asked. When you look down from address, the look of it, I think it looks really good as well. It's kind of a traditional mallet. Like it's a mallet like you would see anybody else kind of make in a way. I mean, it's got its own lab thing because it's got the forward press in it and the shaft goes in the dead center behind the face. It's got kind of a cool little T alignment aid on it and all that. So very unique look. It's still very lab, but it's very traditional. And again, I think people who look at the DF3, look at the Mez and go, no, this can be a yes. It just has a little bit more traditional, a little bit easier look on the eye. It's not, it's actually, it's edgy, but it's kind of soft because if you look at, from a dress, it's got these angles on it around the face, but then the line from front to back is a little bit rounded and soft. So I think it's easy on the eyes. I think the kind of the cavity in the back has that nice milling that kind of breaks it up. And overall, I think the view of it is really good. I like that it doesn't have a big hole in the back personally. It's just something when I look at it, I like that. I think this with like a full line on it could look really, really good. So overall look, I think really good. I think, again, if you put this next to Mez 1 Max, next to DF3, if you rank 1, 2, 3, I'm probably going to put this one in first place. So sound and feel, first place there. I like all of it. Now, I will say, you're thinking, I'm just going to say this is better than all the other ones. I will say that on this one, it has a little bit more neutral feel compared to, especially DF3. Like, to me, DF3, and I think I've said this before, really feels like when you, in the putting stroke, the putter wants to the face almost wants to pull itself through into impact and hit the ball. It's got just a big feeling of that. And I think part of it is the added stability in the DF3. And the DF3 is definitely more stable than this. If you say, stability between the three, DF3 is for sure in first place, then probably the Oz, and then the Mez 1 Max. It just, I think they just feel, in terms of feel, stable. That DF3 just has a feeling of being stable. But to my point, the face kind of feels like it just gets pulled through and makes contact with the ball. And that's what I've always said about some of the other, similar balanced putters out there, is that a lot of them don't have that same feel. Like DF3 really feels like it's like pulling that club head into the ball and making impact. This is a little bit more neutral. I feel like it's just a little bit less than the Mez 1 Max, because I think the DF3 has the most of it, and then the Mez 1 Max, and then this comes in just a little behind the Mez 1 Max. It's not a ton less, but I can feel that it's almost like a little bit more neutral, which I think some people like. There's different feels for everybody, and I think out of the three, one of them is kind of going to feel the best to you. The DF3 to me is like, I like it, but it's kind of too much. But this one, a little bit more neutral, not quite as aggressive in feeling the putter head kind of, almost want to pull itself towards the ball. But it definitely stays, the face stays pointed at the target the whole time. In terms of stability, as I said, the DF3 definitely the most stable. On miss hits, this is probably right behind it. And at first I was kind of going between the Mez 1 Max and this, and I was kind of hitting side by side, purposely hitting balls off the toe, hitting balls off the heel, things like that. As I say, purposely, like I hit it perfect every time. But purposely hitting balls, mishitting them to see what it does. And I do have to say that for being as compact, this being definitely the smallest out of, or at least the smallest looking out of the LAB putters, it definitely has some good stability to it. Not as much as the DF3. The DF3, I feel like you can hit that thing, on the very end of the toe, and the thing just stays, straight. This will move open just a little bit when you miss it, far enough out on the toe or far enough on the heel. It will kind of want to open and close a little bit due to the compact shape. I think that's just the way it is. But for the most part, if you're anywhere near the center, you're going to get away with a nice putt. If you do miss it, it stays on line pretty well. Distance loss is actually pretty minimal. I thought it would be more because, like I said, without having that feel of the head pulling through, I thought this would have some decent distance loss when you hit it off the toe, hit it off the heel, or maybe a little low on the face or something like that. The distance control is actually really good. Now, honestly, it keeps up speed really well when you don't hit it dead center, and that I was a little surprised on. I thought we would see more drop, and we didn't. or at least I didn't, and I haven't noticed it. I feel like I felt like these putts have gotten to the hole no matter where you've hit it on the face, and surprisingly, so. In terms of forgiveness, I think this is definitely more forgiving and stable than it looks, while not being the crazy shape of the DF3. But the DF3 is definitely, if you're looking for maximum forgiveness, maximum stability, definitely go the DF3 route. I think you're going to get it there. But this one, I think, is a good mix in between, and I think it does a really good job of playing those mishits there off the face. Distance control, much like the Labs, I think is really good. It takes a little bit of practice, a little bit of work to get long lag putts down. By this time, I feel like I've pretty much got it down, but lag putts there. Now, between the two different models, so this again is the one that's got the 3-degree forward press, and I've got one that was just straight up and down. I got a great question on my Q&A on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, at ClubJunkiePod, shameless plug. But I got a great question, and somebody asked, between the two, noticing any starting line differences or any differences in performance with the vertical shaft and the forward press shaft. And interesting enough, I was hitting them both back and forth because one, I guess I wasn't focusing necessarily on the shaft aspect of it. I was focusing more on the grip side. Like, is my grip going between the two different grips? Is my grip changing something where, yeah, I'm like noticing more balls missing right or missing left or something like that. And honestly, between the two, there wasn't much difference at all. But I do say that there is a different feel in setup. When you go to set up, and maybe it's because the past couple putters that I've had with Labs and the amount I've putted with them, I'm used to that forward lean. The vertical one did feel a little bit different. My hands felt almost a little bit foreign, a little bit out of place with the vertical shaft one, because I think in my mind I was mentally thinking it should have this forward lean. So I think if I only had one, like if I only had the vertical one and I didn't even have this one, I don't think it would be a big issue. Wouldn't even think about it. It would just go on being the putter that it is. But having them both and hitting them side by side, like literally hitting one putt and grabbing the other one, hitting another putt, you can definitely feel a difference in the setup and your hands getting moved forward a little bit. Now, from everything I putted with, I have not noticed a difference between the two in terms of performance. Like, I haven't noticed that, the vertical one, I'm missing stuff out to the right because my hands are now further back or something like that, or same thing, missing it left, or the forward press, my hands get a little more active or something. I haven't noticed anything like that. And like I said, I've hit a lot of putts side by side between the two. And I think, honestly, it's a visual thing. One, when you look down at it, you either see some forward press or you don't. And again, some people are going to like one or the other. And two, the grip. You can use your own grip with the vertical one, no matter what it is, whether it's a Super Stroke or a Garson or Lambkin or a small grip or a big grip. You can use your own grip on there without it being a problem. Where with the forward press ones, you're probably going to use one of the Lab grips in it. So, excuse me. So yeah, I didn't notice a difference. I haven't noticed anything. It'll be interesting getting out like on the real course when you're kind of like playing breaks and stuff like that. If that will make a difference, but right now I didn't notice anything different. Like the putts I seem to make and then the putts I miss because I just missed them. There wasn't anything consistent that I could say, oh yeah, this one was always left or the right or whatever. Pretty much all the putts I missed typically on the left side. I did it with both putters. So I think the vertical thing is strictly going to be up to you and what grip do you want to use? What do you like visually to look at? And I know it's only 3 degrees. It sounds like it's really nothing. But when you look down on 3 degrees, like you can see it. Like I took some pictures in the Golf DBX forums if you want to look. And when you set them down, it's not much. It's not a ton, but there is a little bit there. And they do look slightly different from having shaft lean or no shaft lean. Now, again, performance-wise, for me, I didn't notice anything. I don't know if for certain people it may or may not cause a different reaction in terms of the way they miss putts or the way they deliver the club head to the ball. It could, but I just don't see that'll be a huge thing, and it'll probably be something that adapting to won't take too many putts or too much. But overall, I've been a big fan. I really like this OZ.1 insert. As I said, I've been a huge fan of the insert on it. I think the feel and sound vastly improved. And if I could get my Mez one and send it back and get an insert in it, and my DF3, I would send them back and get inserts in a heartbeat because they just feel that much better and sound that much better to me. And again, if you like a little bit firmer, you like that little bit of click, all that, a little more solid feel, go with the insert. If you like the softness, go with aluminum. It's just going to be up to you on what you like. And thankfully, you'll be able to get both because the non-insert version is coming this month. So we will see the non-insert version here very, very shortly. But right now you can go to labgolf.com and you can configure a stock or custom OZ.1i. Custom options, you can get a different color head, you can get a bunch of different color alignment aids, all that. There's tons of different things on there that you can kind of build your own. Yeah, overall, been a big fan. Now, if you had to put these in order in terms of, for me, Mez 1 Max versus OZ.1i versus DF3 in terms of gaming, right now I'm still going to take the Mez 1 Max, and I think it's because I have the most confidence in it. I've had the most time with it, the most use with it. But this is going to be interesting because I definitely want to hit this one some more. Definitely want to try it and definitely want to put it into some more kind of pressure situations and see what it's like, because I think that's the big telltale sign to a putter, and we just haven't had the weather here to get out and play. So overall, OZ.1i, I'm a big fan. I've liked it so far. I'm going to keep rocking it. Like I said, I'm going to stick, I think, with the press one. I think the press one to me is just more comfortable. I like the setup of it. It feels more natural compared to the other ones. So I'm going to go that route here and just keep rocking with this. And then, when the standard one, depending on what my guy in the office does, maybe I'll get that one back and try it as well. We'll see. But overall, really impressed. I like this thing a lot. I think it's a great addition to the line. I think it brings in a lot of golfers that previously had excuses of why they didn't need to try a lab or didn't want one or whatever. This takes away a lot of that and gives another option that's a little more traditional, a little easier on the eye, and it gives you a little bit more familiar sound and feel compared to these other putters. So OZ.1i, if you go to labgolf.com, check out all the details there. They also have the configurer. You can kind of build your own and all that. So it is pretty cool to see what you can come up with. But again, been a big fan of this. I think it's a really solid option. I think we're going to see a lot of these start jumping into play. And I know I'm excited to hit more and more with it. So that is my review. Oh, and then the head cover is actually really nice as well. They kind of did a nice, I know it's a head cover, but still, I mean, you're buying an expensive putter. Head cover, I think this thing fits a little bit better than my head cover for my Mez and stuff like that. It's got a nice little kind of 3D, what do you call it? 3D stitching on the top side, and then you get your LAB Golf OZ.1. It looks to be the same size. Somebody asked me, is it the same size as the Mez? It actually looks a hair thinner than my Mez 1 Max head cover, and it looks a little bit smaller than the DF3 one. So I don't know if it can fit on everything else, but it seems to be fairly well made, fairly thick, heavy, and of course, magnetic closures. I'm a big fan of magnetic closures because I hate that ripping sound of the Velcro. But the little things like this are definitely worth it when you're spending a good amount of money on a putter. So that is the LAB OZ.1 insert. And yeah, so that's all I've got for today. Welcome to 2025. Thank you guys again for everything you have done for me in terms of spending time listening and all that. If there's ever any suggestions, whatever, that things you would like to see different, better, worse, or whatever, let me know. So hopefully you guys have a great start to the year. Hopefully if you're somewhere you can play golf, play some golf. And let's continue rocking through launch season and seeing what comes next. But that's all I've got for today. We will talk next week. We'll do another show next week. And yeah, you guys have a good one. Talk soon.